It's no good. Good morning. It is Thursday the 27th of August. Okay, so we are struggling around this key area of resistance, 80 to 82k kind of region, unable to accept within this 11-day comp again, and having rejected off May's naked val. We're also failing to hold above the 3 days of value we formed over the earlier part of the week. So not seeing any spot participation on these pushes higher. To me, it seems like the move is a bit tired at the moment. So I'm leaning towards a correction. Whether that's the high in or we make another attempt into this area, I don't know. But we are seeing these legs up. We saw a leg up here, a leg up here. These are perps-led moves. There's really no spot participation. In effect, if anything, spot is selling into these moves. So on that basis alone, I think it's likely that we see a correction. It was not a bad area to attempt a short here. If we can't get it back above this 3-day value high, it'll be a good short here. If we re-accept within this 3-day composite from the weekend, may also be another opportunity to short. As it is, we've obviously failed to hold within that, having retested previous quarter's value high. Things overall, I think we are bullish. I think we will trade higher. So I still, think the better trade is going to be along. Whether we get a flush into that 74k, 75k region that we talked about all week, I think that would be the ideal place to bid. But who knows if it's going to be that deep, or if we actually find support around 76.5 monthly value high kind of region. I think either of those scenarios is possible. So the two areas I would look for a swing long from would be here. Sorry, that's really thick. But yeah, essentially here, which is that 3-day value low, old composite value low, monthly value high kind of region, or in the imbalance, which I think would be more ideal around this sort of 74, 75k area, which we talked about all week, right? So those are kind of the areas I look to long. Ideally, not really interested in shorting BTC. I think ETH is probably a better short, actually. It's a bit of a cleaner setup at the moment. Obviously, if you took this one, congrats. But yeah, for me, I probably prefer to short ETH as a sort of continuation play. So let's take a look at that. So, and this is going to be a bit of a messy chart, but essentially, similar to BTC, right? Values just sort of migrated higher, but without showing any momentum, and we're now failing to get above this old 9-week point of control. Kind of built out this range here. So if that's our range high, that's our range low. We've taken out the high. Do we then head for the range low and this naked value low around 23.50? That's my sort of idea. So if we get a spike into today's value high or this big selling imbalance, I think that would potentially be an interesting place to look for a short. Or more safely, you could just look for reacceptance below this 3-day value high around 24.85 and just take a short on that reacceptance under that level, targeting this kind of region and then looking for longs again, right? Whether we come all the way to previous quarter's value high, I don't know, but 23.50, taking out this low somewhere around here looks like a good area to potentially play towards this kind of region around 26.50 and the 365-day value high. So yeah, looking for something like that from ETH. Otherwise, alts are going to follow suit, right? So we have seen little pockets of strength here and there, but stalling, losing momentum now. I mean, ZEC yesterday was a decent long. We did end up rejecting off previous week's value high, and therefore on that basis, previous week's VWAP's a logical target, and it's aligning with this naked value high from last Friday. So I think that's a good level to look at, potentially, aligning up with that 30-day VWAP as well. So yeah, expect obviously alts to bleed if the market's going to dump. And that's about it. So I won't go over loads of alts now. I think that's thematically what I'm looking at. Ideally, we get to bid after Jackson Hole, but who knows how the timing is going to look. I'd like to get that out of the way before really considering getting back into longs anyway. That's all for today. I'll speak to you next time. Cheers.